Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Indian Mobile Congress. Thank you for taking the time out to listen in on this session. I've got Gautam Talwar with me, who is the Chief Content Officer at MX Player. Gautam, thank you so much for taking the time out.
Thank
You know,
you very
as
much.
so, I think the OTT space is something that has been seeing a fair amount of traction and significant growth in viewership over the last 3 years or so. And in the last 6 months, particularly with the pandemic, if anything, this whole process has got accelerated, right? Our sense is that when we've done our research, that the entire digital adoption and OTT viewership has probably got accelerated by anywhere between 18 to 24 months from a longer term perspective in terms of what was originally estimated, right? But as sort of things played out during the pandemic, I think the question in everybody's mind really was: is this sustainable? Is this growth sustainable in terms of the number of users who are coming on board, the time that they are spending, the sessions per day that they are doing, all the metrics? Is this really something that we'll continue to see going forward? The question was, okay, once unlock starts happening, maybe we'll see a dip. That doesn't seem to have happened, right? And as the whole unlock process is continued, and we see, when we look forward into the next 12, 24 months, if anything, this process continues to, actually pick up steam. So, just wanted to get your perspective, and I think, given that you're among that rare breed of large OTT platforms in the country who are truly independent, right? Not a global player and not a broadcaster driven platform. Your perspectives therefore will be very interesting to hear. So let me sort of start this off with this fundamental question. The growth that you see, how do you see this playing out? What do you see sustainability, and more importantly, what do you see the factors which is continuing to maintain this trajectory, over the last few months or so?
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting question, Girish. To be really honest, we're a very fundamentally well distributed platform. So, when we
Right.
started off, we had about 75 million monthly daily actives and about 175 monthly. That has
Hmm.
grown itself, right, in the pandemic phenomenally well. So I think we're more than 200 million monthly actives now, which is a fairly large sample size to actually understand and evaluate most metrics.
Right.
Uh, what has happened is that there is pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, and if you look at all metrics that matter to most OTT platforms, largely
Hmm.
being engagement, right?
Right.
Has engagement gone up? Of course, the engagement has gone up. Have the number of users gone up? Yes, the number of users have gone up. The time spent, has that gone up per user? Yes, that has gone up as well.
Right.
Uh, and the key question is whether it is sustainable. So I think
Yes.
the sustainable. So the fact one is that pandemics really worked for us, unfortunately, but yes, it has. Also, the fact that television content dried up after a
Hmm.
certain point in time, the shift was absolutely massive because
Hmm.
fortunately for us, we had shot quite a few, and a lot of it was under post, so we could
Yeah.
manage to do a lot of post activities, sitting at home.
Hmm. Hmm.
That helped us. And just to give you a kind of a perspective, uh, probably the pandemic currently, if you look at it, say March onwards, right, mid March
Hmm.
to about November,
Hmm.
December, it's about 32 odd weeks.
Yeah.
You look at the number of shows that MX has launched between originals and acquired, it's literally about 28 to 30. So that's
Wow.
literally a show a week, right?
A show a week, right? Yeah.
Literally a show a week. So that's the kind of advantage that we probably have managed to take while actually putting our shows out there.
Hmm.
Fortunately, what has happened is that there has been some serious amount of consumption of these shows.
Hmm.
uh, could be attributed to the fact that everywhere else no theater and no television means that there is no other place to
Hmm.
go to. So yes, the question is very valid whether it's sustainable or not.
Hmm.
And I think that I'd like to answer that question in one big way, which is really that the sustainability is coming from a behavior shift of the
Got it.
consumer, right? And I think that the behavior shift that the consumer is seeing is that now they earlier the resistance to seeing, it's digital. There were people who are not comfortable with technology. There were people who are not, so
Hmm.
18 to 40 is great, right? They're
Hmm.
very comfortable. technology. But what happens when you grow beyond 40? The comfort is
Hmm.
not really there, right? I think
True.
what is interestingly happened and what the acceleration has done is that a lot of people have sampled a lot of the OTT platforms. They
Right.
have actually been pleasantly surprised with the kind of content that is available. And I think most of us
Hmm.
are not giving you the content that is either available in cinema or available on television. So
Right.
what we are trying to address is a need gap that exists in the consumer's mind, right?
Right.
Which probably isn't satiated by the existing mediums, whether it be
Got
cinema
it.
or whether it be right. So if
Got
you
it.
look at cinema, it's about 120 minutes, right? Confined space environment. And if you look at
Hmm.
television format and narrative saying it's 3,000 episodes, 4,000 episodes, it's like a daily ritual.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
a very different format, right? This ecosystem is about, 300 to 400 minutes of premium content, and
Yeah.
stories are not available in either of the two mediums.
Got it.
Even
Got it.
caters to the woman of the house, and
Hmm.
this internet is really catering to the 18 to 30 male population largely, which reflects the
Yeah.
internet in the country.
True.
And they didn't have too much to watch on television. So this suddenly looks like, oh, this is something interesting to watch. They
Yeah.
liked it. The word proliferated, and I think now it is a behavior shift that's happened that I must watch what is available. I may or may not like it. That's up to the consumer, but
Got
at
it.
least it's within the consideration set of how I spend my entertainment time.
Got
And
it.
that
Got it.
to me is where the sustainability lies. That if you
Got it.
keep giving them decent enough content to watch, they will come, they will sample, and if they like it, they'll stick around.
Right. So that behavioral shift is what's going to drive this, as we go forward, right?
I think so.
Got
And, and interestingly, the behavioral shift is happening across age groups,
it. Hmm.
across
Hmm.
demographics, across
Right.
geographies. So there is so you see which is why the explosion is happening. It's not a
Yeah.
certain section of population that is trying it out. It's
Right. Right.
from my mother who's 70 plus who's trying it out, right?
Hmm.
As well as somebody who's never understood what the internet can do in a very very small town in India, and
Yeah.
suddenly
Yeah.
the first access is saying, oh, there is interesting content that I can watch,
Right.
and one, so that is where
Right.
I'm looking at the acceleration and the shift actually happening.
Got it. And so to take this to the other end of the the equation, right, which is the whole supply side, right, and we've seen some interesting developments sort of happen. Not all of them, some of them, new for India. Some of them, sort of been around for a while, but saw some acceleration, right? So let's start with, you know, so two of those phenomenon essentially is the whole OTT first releases that have been happening on. On the platforms, and obviously a lot had a lot to do with the fact that theaters are not open. But do you see, while I don't believe myself that this is an either or situation, that it's always going to be OTT first. That's unlikely to happen. But I'm sure there is some level of fundamental shift that is also happening in the producers and the content creators' minds. Right now, there's a new opportunity for them to showcase their content. So, do you see this? How do you see this rather playing out in the longer term in terms of the equation between platforms and multiplexes and theaters, and how do you see that playing out?
So I think that the ecosystem will definitely survive. It will thrive.
Hmm.
I don't think that
Hmm.
we're replacing cinemas for sure.
Hmm.
I think that part will definitely grow. I think what
Hmm.
will change in that is what is the kind of content that people are going to pay for in cinemas,
Right.
and what is the kind of content that they're very happy to wait and watch either on satellite or on OTT.
Hmm. Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think
Hmm.
that is the kind of shift that we may see, and that's my personal point of view. I may be wrong about it, but the fact of the matter is that even if you look at the US and you look at you look at either the Avenger big studio films that actually come out, right,
Got it.
and that's an experience, right? It's not only
Yeah.
just a film, right? So you go into a cinema hall for an experience. So either it's an experience, right, and
Hmm.
the slightly different storytelling format which are not that kind of an experience, consumers may probably want to be watching it at home with
Got
their
it.
families. So I think what will change is not that cinemas will not exist or OTTs will take on, or I just think that the kind of content that is going to be available in the two
Hmm.
media may probably undergo a kind of a shift, because the cinema
Understand.
hall also have to really, really, really now justify the 250 or
Hmm.
300
Hmm.
ticket that is really being asked for. So you
Yeah.
can't be as good as OTT. You have to be 10 times better than what we are putting out there, right? Because you're
Yeah. Yeah.
actually somebody to come out there, shell out the money, and now it's just the whole experience. It's parking and it's popcorn and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Yeah.
all of it, right? So your content better be worth all of it. Otherwise, the consumer is not going to come and pay for
Yeah.
it, because we have a very
Got it.
price sensitive consumer in India. So I think that's what's going to happen, uh,
Got it.
moving further.
Got it. I think that's a fair point. The other angle, which again, while is this the whole investments into original content, right? While we've been seeing even in India over the last 2 years, fairly regular, investments into original content by a lot of the platforms. Again, I think the last 6 months, there's been, huge growth in that emphasis by pretty much everybody, right? And that seems to be also paying off for most of the platforms where you have that one big lead in, which seems to sort of then benefit everything else that's sort of available on the platform. But so tell me one thing though, right? When you look at creating these kind of originals, the investments of obviously much larger than typical usual content that gets created. How do you sort of assess the viability, the budgets, and all of that? And when you look at ROI, how do you look at it? Do you look at a platform, at a content level? How do you think about these things?
Oh, that's a pretty complicated question. Will take about number of hours to answer that. However, I'll try and be
You got 2 minutes.
yeah. So I'll try and be kind of precise, trying to answer this. I think it really depends on what is the kind of business model that you're chasing, right? I think
Yeah.
if you're looking at an SWOT platform, it's a very different ball game, which is why they can
Hmm.
afford big movies. We haven't played the big movies game yet, because
Yeah.
the ROI probably didn't make sense to us, because there's a serious amount of investment required to put those kind of films as
Hmm.
digital first releases, right? We haven't had
Hmm.
those big ones yet. Probably didn't make sense to us.
Hmm.
Um Also, the fact that if you really look at it from, and we are an AWOD platform, so we
Yeah.
operate very differently, right? You have to see a couple of ads to watch our
Hmm.
shows,
Hmm.
and that's a completely different model. So I think every platform looks at it very differently, because to gain a subscriber would probably be a little more difficult,
Hmm.
to shell out money versus an AWOD platform. However, I think for everybody, I think it's eventually going to be a sense of engagement, right? uh,
Got it.
eventually eventually the north point is how well are your shows doing, how many people are watching, are they coming back to watch more of the same, are they
Hmm.
looking at coming back for watching more seasons of the same show. I don't think those metrics are going to change, and I
Got
think
it.
for all of us, I think the north point will always remain that.
Got
And
it.
I think we're all in investment mode right now, to be honest with you, and I think we're trying to
Mhm.
make sure that we get the kind of consumer base that we're all looking at getting.
Right.
We're sure looking at that level of growth, and fortunately for us, it's really exploding.
Hmm.
The number of people that are trying out the OTT platform, they're sampling the kind of content that is available,
Got it. Got
um,
it.
and the more and more we can actually land up catering to those pieces of content, more
Hmm.
sharper, targeting of consumers with our,
Right.
slates. We have more than 100,000 hours of acquired content, right? We
Hmm.
have, two platforms, Viacom as well as Sun Next on us. So our
Hmm.
learning is immense, trying to understand, saying that, what are the kind of content that is being consumed and how, and
Yeah.
therefore
Yeah.
what is the kind of preferences of those kind of content. So there's a huge amount of learning from analytics that we get. So
Understood.
basis that, the sharper we get about understanding our own consumers, the
Hmm.
better ROI, depending on what your metrics of ROI is. And trust me, it's different for different
Hmm.
OTT
Understood.
platforms. As long as you get to understand who your consumer is and what you're serving to them is liked, I think there's a very clear growth path for all of
Got
us.
it. Got it. Which sort of nicely leads into the next aspect that I wanted to sort of discuss with you, and that's the whole role of technology, right? I mean, while OTT fundamentally has been about technology and technology has been at its core, I think we are seeing a far more deeper integration, across various aspects, right? Whether it is the creative process, the content selection process, what works, what doesn't work, identifying the consumer, and like you said, how well do you know your consumer and tracking their behaviors. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes, right, for an OTT platform. And I just wanted to understand, what are those top two or three aspects where platforms are investing currently? Is it AI? Is it around analytics? Around delivery more? Tech. What are those one or two key things that that's the emphasis right now?
Okay, so I try and answer this question with two fundamental premises for most OTTs. And because we're a growing industry, I think we're all learning together.
Yeah.
Of course, global platforms have got immense amount of lead advantage because they've been doing that for some time. I'll talk it from our point of view, right? I think there are two things that we look at very, very closely. One is the user experience, right? How can technology enable that user experience to become absolutely seamless?
Got it.
And I'm talking about fundamental, very, very simple things like, does it play properly? Does it not buffer? Does it take time to buffer? Is the brightness, volume control, and if you look at MX technology, it's absolutely, absolutely world class. I think that is the reason why the consumer absolutely keeps coming out, because there is absolutely no barrier to consumption as far as that is concerned. I think we're one of the best tech teams in the country or even the world, because that's been what MX was even before we put the OTT layer on it, right?
Yeah.
All kinds of file formats. I think that's the advantage. So I think a lot of emphasis is coming on to the user experience. Does it go to the next episode? Does it not? Does it buffer? How quickly does it go into the next? Do I have a skip intro button? I think very simple things like that, but everything has to be thought through from a user experience point of view.
Got it.
The better the user experience, the more the chance of him to stay with you for slightly longer.
Got it.
And the other big thing that we definitely delve into from a technology point of view is data analytics. I think all our decisions come from very, very serious analysis of who the kind of consumers that we have, what have been watching, how long have been spending their time. So cut and slice the data to at least give you it can never tell you what story to tell, right? But it can definitely tell you that this is the genre that works, right? This is a large cohort of users that actually want to see this kind of a programming, right? Crime, thriller, suspense works, right? Is there a scope for a horror comedy, for all you know? I mean, we don't know, right? But the data is so clear, right? That by putting out this amount of content, right, which is more than 100,000 hours, you actually get a very clear feedback as to what is working and what is not. And unfortunately, like the box office, we also probably know in about 3 or 4 days whether the show is working or not. So it's that fast, right? It tells, because the sample size is so large, right? At 100 million daily actives, whether they're watching it or they're not watching it, right? You don't have to have 5 weeks to figure it out. We just know in about 5 days whether it's got some traction or it doesn't have any traction. So data analytics is the other part that we really, really put a lot of emphasis on. And directionally, it gives us some immense insights about the consumer. And that's what we take back to actually create our storytelling.
Got it. So let me then, take this forward. So you mentioned data, right? So data and data analytics, and how is or what do you see is the role of AI, right? In particular, as we potentially go forward over the next, 12 to 24 months or so, in leveraging this data and building on it, and and sort of delivering, whether it's choices, or anything around the creation process, the recommendation, and all of that. But how do you see the role of AI developing on top of this data that gets generated?
Wow, I think that's the holy grail, yeah. For all of us, for even content creators, right? I think for us, I think personally, I think the most important part about AI is to be able to come to the consumer of one, right? Can I really understand Girish? Can I understand that what he likes, right? What he likes on a Monday versus what he likes on a Friday would probably be very different. First day of work and last day of work. Probably understand what his various moods are, right? What are his understanding about the kind of content that he likes, right? And then use AI to be able to throw up the kind of content that probably Girish likes, right? Genuinely, and it's only possible through AI. I don't think it's humanly possible to do it. I think a machine has to really understand you very, very well and probably throw those kind of pieces of content to you to make sure that you actually get that buffet, which is very different from my buffet, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I'm a documentary guy and you're not a documentary guy, and it may completely change the kind of stuff that is thrown out. So I think AI to me is eventually going to be about how to arrive at the consumer of one.
got it,
And
got it.
one, I mean that if I have 200 million monthly actives, you understand the complexity that
Yeah, 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 yeah. I hear
into
you.
the zone. Yeah. So to me,
Got
I think that is really where AI is going to play the most important role. Segregating, cutting it, slicing it, segmenting it, and being able to then pick it up and give you stuff that you really like.
Got it. Understand. Which then brings me to, I think, the final point that I wanted to sort of discuss with you today, right? I think, a lot of, given that India is fundamentally a mobile internet economy, a lot of this consumption that we are seeing is happening on the telco backbone, essentially, right? Which is currently 4G, pretty much in major parts of the country. Now, as we look forward, 5G is expected to be a huge disruption and an opportunity for a number of other industries, right? Which sort of have the ability to now piggyback on that, that kind of speeds and connectivity, that sort of 5G can potentially offer. What I wanted to sort of get a sense from you is, what does 5G actually mean for OTT as a business, right? Is this potentially again a next round of disruption or an opportunity, or do you see this more as an incremental value generation and something which partly is already being met by 4G? So where do you see OTT fitting into this framework?
Okay, now I'm going to speak from a very MX perspective point of
Sure,
view,
sure.
and I think because we're a mass market brand, right? We're not
Right.
at the top end of the consumer this thing. We do have a lot of them, but I think largely we're in the middle of the pyramid. We're mass India,
Mm.
and I think
Mm.
the more I understand mass of India, uh, the kind of stuff that is important to them is not really. I think 4G suffices to them. I don't think
Mm.
they're really, I haven't seen a lot of consumer complaints on social media saying, "Hey guys, I wish the speed was better," right?
Got it.
Because the technology backbone makes sure that the buffering is any which way to the least. So
Got
that
it.
the team is, I think, for MX has cracked it beautifully, right? The
Mm.
compression technology is absolutely fantastic, and therefore the deliverable is actually happening at probably the most optimal levels.
Got
I
it.
think what's important for us is that data prices, even though being the lowest in the world, are going to
Mm.
play a role because you're still limited by the 1.5 GB a day to 2 GB a day kind of plans that telco
Right.
typically have. And then the consumer is looking at saying, how do I max on that 1.5 GB a day kind of, I'm
Mm.
limited by that. I'm not limited by my appetite for content. I'm
Got it.
actually limited by the amount of data I actually have or what I can spend
Mm.
on,
Mm. Mm.
right?
Mm.
Because you
Got it.
spend on data to even see that. So first spend on data, then spend on subscription, and then and then if you do it at 5G level, I think most of our consumers at mass market India are watching it also not on the highest
Mm.
pixelation, if you really
Yeah.
want to call it, right?
Right.
320p or 420p or 108. I think they're somewhere in the middle. They're very
Got it.
happy to watch that kind of
Mm. Mm.
stuff.
Mm.
So for me, I think 5G is definitely incremental. If it increases the speed, it just the layering goes away, the buffering
Got
goes
it.
away, speeds are much better. But I think the larger thing is about saying that the insatiable appetite for content that this country has,
Mm. Mm.
that's going to be really the challenge, right? And therefore, can you make that part of their life a lot better by maybe increasing the data packet size, maybe 2 to 3 GB? You will just see the moment that happens, you will see more and more explosion
Got it.
of content being consumed. That's my personal hypothesis.
It's very interesting that we are talking about 2 GB as a limiting factor, right?
Yes,
I mean, and
it
that
is. It
is
is.
is a lot of content, but it's interesting that that much content is actually getting consumed and people are busting those limits on a fairly regular basis, right? So I think
Oh
it's
yeah, I have consumer research, and I've gone and met my consumers, in deep down pockets in India, wherein they wait for 12 o'clock to happen, and the moment they get refurbished, they start onto the other journey. Right? They will
right,
go at their father's phone and try and churn out data from there. They'll go to office,
right.
do all of that. Basically, the need is very large, and I
Mm.
think I think what is still, in spite of 2 GB, you're absolutely right, that's quite a lot of data, but still not enough for our consumers. I
Got
genuinely
it.
believe.
Got it. And I think, and that I think is what really, augurs well for the future, right? I mean, if there's so much hunger for content, and
Oh, yeah.
if I were to sort of capture some of the points that you mentioned, right? The whole hunger for content, along with the whole behavioral change that we are, that shift that we are already seeing in consumer behavior in terms of consuming content on OTT, which is now becoming more deeper, right? It's not just those same 18 to 40, across a few cities who are consuming. It's become more deeper into the country, across demographics, across geographies that you said. And that, along with this whole focus on the consumer, understanding the consumer, leveraging tech, I think all of that put together is really what gives the confidence, when you look at the space in terms of how this will sustain over the next few years or so, right? So that's great to hear, Gautam. And thank you so much, actually, for your insights on this point. And I think this sort of brings it all together very well. So thanks a lot for your time, and I hope the viewers of the session find this conversation pretty useful there. So thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Girish. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. Yeah, same here. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank
Bye.
you. Cheers. Bye.